that doesn't mean that content is always for free. There is content which is for free if people want it to be for free, if they put it at the disposal for free. But there is also the copyright issue, which is very high on the agenda. We have issued a study yesterday about content online in Europe. And we have seen that in the next 5 years there is a 400% increase of content online in Europe, under the conditions that we get the IPR question solved. Now, this is also different looking when it goes to the big media groups or when it goes to the small producers, because sometimes for small producers, even without the right IPR, is a chance to get to a consumer. And it looks quite different when you are a big media group and you are relying not on going to the consumer but on being paid. This is high on the agenda in Europe for the next coming months, and if there is anybody around here or in the audience who has a good idea to help us out to solve this problem so that the internet can continue to be free of access, well, I'm willing to listen to that.
You've heard the call. Here's the place to come. Just one other. Mark, are you worried at all about the designs that people are coming up with? I mean, are they going to walk off with Nike rights, or are you going to try and capture their right? How do you deal with that?
Actually, not at all. We and I said this before, and I mean it, we embrace the input, the creative input that we get from people that want to engage.
But if I design a pair of shoes and you pick up my design, shouldn't I have a piece of the rights?
Well, we offer you the opportunity to engage with Nike to design product. We set a framework of criteria.
But you sell me the shoes I design. Do I get any money?
No, you don't. You get the opportunity to wear something that you've created.
Ah, yeah, but if Dennis buys my shoes,
well, we're not selling your shoes to other people. Those
how
are
do I know
you.
that?
But some companies will come back and do that, because look at Rever. Rever is a video site like YouTube. It's far behind YouTube. So one thing they've done to differentiate is Rever shares ad revenue from the homemade videos that end up running on Rever, and they give a little cut of it to the provider. And so you will see some companies do that, I believe.
I actually think that one of the reasons that YouTube grew faster than Rever is because people were being paid to contribute to Rever. And it's one of these strange things. There's been a lot of research about this. I really do believe that there was this great study that was once done where they kind of paid kids to learn how to write. And then they had another control group in which the kids were just kind of taught how to write. And the kids who were paid to learn how to write actually found writing less appealing somehow. They were not doing it for the love of writing. And I think that the web has been founded on a culture of generosity, people just putting stuff up there and sharing it. And the motivations and goals of the people are very distinct from when they're trying to earn something. I think that there's something very significant about this desire to share, this desire to share your experience. And it in many ways trumps the desire, especially in these kind of like small incremental amounts of money that you might earn from your video. The urge to share is much stronger than the urge to earn.
I think that's a really big deal. That spirit of generosity that is in fact very much a part of the web. And I think Chris Anderson was talking about that in his book on the long tail, that those opportunities out there at the very, very small scales. Chad, you wanted to throw something in there, and then we'll take a question over here, and then we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, we weren't sharing revenue with our users because we didn't feel it was a great way to build a community. We wanted to build a community that was passionate about video, and it wasn't driven by a monetary reward. You really change the dynamics and what really motivates people when you do that. So we wanted to keep it pure, but now I think we've been able to create an audience large enough where I think we have the opportunity to support creativity, to foster creativity through sharing revenue with our users. So in the next coming months, we're going to be opening that up to the rest of our users.
Can we have a question over here?
Hi, I'm Linda Abraham from ComScore, and we measure internet trends, things like web traffic and search, video, advertising, things like that. So what's been happening recently, obviously, is that the advent of AJAX and things like that have rendered some of the traditional measurement metrics, things like web pages, for example, obsolete because they don't necessarily apply in this new world. Similarly, you have something like content on the New York Times. The readership of the New York Times online was a pretty straightforward thing to measure. Now with all the peer-to-peer sharing, from a measurement standpoint, I'd be interested to hear, how will we keep score? What are some of the relevant metrics in terms of how we're going to understand what the trends are going forward?
Katerina?
I'm a big believer that page views are, for the most part, dead. I think that when you're looking at different pieces of software, the metrics vary greatly between what's significant for one website versus another. And I think, for example, like on a social networking site, the number of connections between people will be very significant. The number of messages that kind of go between people are very significant. The amount of time that people spend on a site is very significant, and I think it really varies. On a search page, you probably don't want to spend a lot of time there. You want to find what you want very quickly and go off. So the time spent there is not very significant. So these things have to be. It's very hard to find something that sort of one size fits all in terms of measuring the usefulness, the engagement, the advertisability of various sites. So it's something I think that needs to be tweaked a great extent, and I'm glad to hear that ComScore is looking at more different ways.
I must say I was very skeptical at the beginning of this, and I've been quite impressed actually with what's happened with AdSense and what Google's doing, and a number of friends who've started small businesses who've been able to launch their businesses enabled by AdSense. Kevin Kelly's Cool Tools is a great example of what you can do. Bill, how do you see the advertising model playing out here?
Well, there's many kinds of advertising, all of which are going to grow dramatically on the web. The thing that is the most valuable is seeing the person at the time they're thinking of doing a purchase. And the example that was given here of you go on to search for an auto, and then a few hours later you're watching TV, that's the ad you're shown. That is very powerful. There are clicks like personal injury law firm that are worth $60, $70. In New York, $120. LASIX, mortgage. If you see people in that context, the chance of doing a piece of business that today is still fairly high profit is high enough that they really want to own that context. Now that's different than ads that are inserted in videos because you're just not as focused on what's going on there. We are going to see an explosion of creativity in advertising, and this is a place where Microsoft is behind at least one other company, and so we're putting our we try harder techniques into motion.
So we won't mention Google. Question down here.